when you're the leader, you could do what I did at first, which is just like throw my hands up and say, this sucks. Or you could try to find their talent. Everyone has something, and can they contribute? So you have to orchestrate that with the people you've got. The players on the field right now have to win.
Welcome to the Lion's Edge, where top performers sharpen their teeth. Hosted by Joe Blackburn, founder of The Lion, who is relentlessly dedicated to helping business owners lead multi-million-dollar teams. And me, Jason Croft. I transform unseen entrepreneurs into industry leaders by developing their market gravity. Each week, we reveal proven strategies and raw insights to help you maximize your business, multiply your wealth, and make your family indestructible. Now, let's create your edge. Welcome to the Lion's Edge. Joe, it's time for another rant.
Oh my goodness. I've only got one left in me, so let's get this done.
All right. I like this concept that I hear you mention, and we've touched on it a couple of times, this idea of winning with the team you've got, right? When there's a back and forth, I think. Keep moving forward. Don't sit in like, well,
yeah, always be
I'm
recruiting
here.
Always be recruiting. There's no question there.
But that's the other side of it, is always be recruiting, like looking for that next level, because hopefully your business is growing, moving forward, and you're actively doing that. And there is a balance, right, between, hey, this is who's on the boat right now. Let's keep going, while realizing the limitations on your team. Where does this come up a lot?
Well, for me, it came from my sentence in corporate America, where you inherited a lot of team members. And if they see this, it's not personal. Love you guys. Don't be pissed. But you inherit people, or if you're running your own business, you've hired some people that maybe weren't what you thought they were going to be. So my experience was we couldn't terminate. And if we did, the process was so long, and it's like you got to know where to place your chips. But that was kind of the pissy attitude about it. But then if you make a little shift to, well, maybe this person does have some strengths, does have some greatness, they can do some things. So when you're the leader, you could do what I did at first, which is just like throw my hands up and say, this sucks. Or you could try to find their talent. They have it. I mean, everyone has something, and can they contribute? So you have to orchestrate that with the people you've got. The players on the field right now have to win. Even, I'm always be recruiting. Yeah, you should have an eye out for the next person, or a great person, or whatever that is. However, you have to function today, and you have to win today. So the first thing you want to do is make an assessment of the team and find out where they are strong. If you have, we kind of grade people. If you've got all D players, yeah, you probably need to get out and recruit. But the 80-20 would say you probably have an A and a B, and then maybe a D and a C, and the F will find their way out. But if you spend your time, and HR organizations do this backwards, they'll look at that D player and say, put them in a PIP and spend all this time, blah, blah, all this shit. And it's like, why would I spend my time trying to, puff that D up to a C? And in a smaller business, you're going to have, isn't it called Price's Law, where like 50%. So if you had 6 people, 3 of them are going to do almost everything. But you still have to have those other people. So the best thing to do is find your A player. Who is your best, and pour into that person. That's where you'll get most of your leverage. You've probably seen some sports teams be carried by a superstar. If you've got one, regardless of the fallout, because there will be some, you've got to take that person and get them as great as possible. I mean, to my detriment, and if she ever sees this, my A player is now running a huge business, and she carried a lot of the load. She did it a lot, almost all of it. Sometimes she even told me about how much she was doing, but she was awesome, and is awesome, and has grown up. So you've got to develop that person, even if it costs you, because they may leave, or they may get recruited up within an organization, or whatever it is. But your best bet to win with the team you got is identify who your best player is.
And I think that goes hand in hand too with that same mentality of work on your strengths, not your weaknesses in yourself. It's like, oh, I could, I'm not really great with data and messing with this stuff, but I really want to get better at it. And you can spend all your time getting this much better, or you can pour into what your absolute gift is, and you're going to skyrocket past everyone else and fill in those other holes. I think there's a correlation there to a team as well, and because they also feel it. Like if you've got that A player and you're giving all your attention on that D, trying to get them to a C, that A player is just like, okay, what else do I have to do to get any kind of attention and love around here and support?
So your first order of business is there. Then you go to the movable middle, so to speak. You can get a lot of lift and leverage on improving that area. So you want to evaluate them, what they're good at, what drives them. I mean, I don't think it's rocket science to align compensation to outcome, but you'd be surprised. A lot, especially in smaller size businesses, comp is usually aligned to what the owner feels they can do versus what motivates their people. So if I want to make my team self-organizing, meaning I want some leverage within peer pressure to perform. So we may have individual goals, but we also want an overarching team goal that if, the C player just taps out, it affects everyone and you'll get that benefit of peer pressure. But more so, even before you get to that, is how are you aligning comp? Because if some people, if they were only motivated by money, they might be running their own company. So when I say win with the team you got, it's unlikely you're going to get two of you. Now you may have someone that has the potential to be you, but not in the beginning. So then I would go to that movable middle and figure out where can they help us the most, eliminate the things that they don't do well and don't help with, try to leverage those through AED. You guys all know what that is, right? Automate, eliminate, delegate, whatever, AED. Same process. But what I want to figure out is how can I get them to want to do this and not have to tell them how to do it all the time? So that comes with alignment. So if I'm clear in where I'm going and my vision and comp aligns that, I mean, this is like 101. But again, the hard part about it, it sounds easy, right? Like, okay, we'll just do this. The hard part is there's people involved, number one, and they all have personal lives. That's number one. And if you run a business that's 10, 15, 5 people, I promise you the personal life is 50% of their day. Promise. They got shit going on. They got kids getting sick. They got whatever. That's part of it. So you have that drag on the business that you have to deal with, because even though you're all in it to win it, it still is a family atmosphere. So you have to win with that mentality that I'll help you. You have to want to win. I will help you. I'll do what I can. I'll be flexible, whatever it is, but you have to want to win. And if someone doesn't want to win, then you got to figure out a way to get them out and replace them. That's where the recruiting comes in. But today we're talking about who I have. And in geography, not every, community is overflowing with A players like you hear on LinkedIn. Like, only hire A players. Really? If I only hired A players, it'd be like a 1.5 person organization. I'd be half and then I'd have an A player. But do you see, you know what I'm saying? Kind of like we are now. Like Lauren's an A player and then I just piss her off all day long and she seems to function. It works.
Yeah.
But if I want to win with the people I have to get to know them, develop them, find their strengths, and give them the belief that we can win. Because if your attitude, and I'm guilty of this, if your attitude is we're fucked, guess what? You will be. So it's a winning mentality. That's a big part of it, is we're going to win no matter what. And if you allow the worst person to dictate decisions and actions, you definitely will have a horrible ride. So they can contribute what they can. You can try to do whatever with them, but they don't dictate what happens. You don't lead to them. Even at the expense of hurting some feelings or whatever it is, the hierarchy is the hierarchy. You pour into the person that wants to be developed and has the ability to be developed the most. Then you do everything you can in the middle, and you've got to win with that team. So you could tell yourself, well, I just don't have the right people. I don't have the right people. Well, maybe you're the leader. Have you thought of this? So you're going to have to figure that out. and it's not easy. It can be simple though. So I would say a big part of this is find out what drives them. We've got people that have hourly jobs, salary jobs, commission jobs, bonus, all those different things. At the end of the day, a lot of the time, especially in that movable middle, it's not money. If they were driven by money, they would do something else. It could be autonomy. It could be recognition. It could be days off. It could, so figure that stuff out. Here's a good way to do it. Talk to them. Why are you here? What is it you like about have a conversation. And in these smaller businesses, that's easier than having an HR person sitting in the room with you while you're asking questions, actually evaluating you to see if you're violating HR rules. So that's a much easier way to connect with someone. And at the end of the day, it takes time. But as the leader, if you can give them the hope and vision and a path for everyone, it doesn't mean just one person gets the path. What is my, if even in recruiting, I don't just show up and this is it. It's where does this lead to? So if I can do that and articulate it and imbibe it more than what I say is somewhat important, but like they used to tell us, you're in the fishbowl. You're now the leader. Here's the fishbowl. It's sitting out on everyone's desk and they're just watching you swim around. So if you want them to win, you have to win. You can't whine. You can't fold. They're going to watch you close. So it's something when we go through it in the Lion through coaching is we make all those evaluations and then take action.
Two things that come up. One is when you're having that conversation with each of your people, that you've got to get through that initial barrier of, oh, I am in here talking to my boss. I will say the right thing. That's another part of that human skill, the art, getting through okay, look, I really want to get real with you. And part of that is making sure that's an environment they feel like they can, you can get past that. So you can really understand what they want at the core. But even in that process, how transparent should you be, can you be when it comes to sitting your A player down? Look, you're the A player. You are numero uno here. I want to acknowledge that, but even through your middle, and maybe even down to the D. Look, here's my frustration. How transparent in all of that can you be as a leader?
Well, I think you can be fully transparent in a way to especially approach the A player, because this is going to happen for sure. They're going to pick up on you don't ever correct, spend time, make a big deal, do a bunch on D. Why are you always picking on me? Why am I? Well, because I believe in you. Have you ever had a coach that ripped you a new a-hole all the time? Do you think it's because they thought you stunk? No, it's because they saw the potential in you and decided that's where they're going to allocate time and energy versus a kid that, is just there with a great attitude that kind of helps.
Right.
Great
but
leader.
If you don't call that out, it gets wasted and distorted. Yeah.
So what you talk to them about is, I'm going to be harder on you than anyone else because you have the most potential. Why don't you say it when this person does it? Well, because they're about at their cap. We're getting about as much as we can. You have this much room. So if you were running the show, where would you put time and energy? And it's especially newer, and you bring someone in or you form a new business or whatever it is, you'll quickly be able to discern it as a leader who can do what and who's capable of what. But it's a twofold thing. The people below are going to see that you're pouring all the energy into this person and have some resentfulness. And that person's going to think you're on their ass all the time. And that's, if leadership were easy, there'd be a lot of them, by the way. Last time I checked, it's scarce. So the hard thing is the courage to say, I'll help you. Here's where I want you to be. Put a plan in place. And then you have to pour a little into that. But if you have someone that has the potential to be a superstar for you, for them, for the clients, for everyone involved, that's where you put your time and energy. I was a superstar. Let's just go there. My mentor, God knows he ain't going to watch this, but that dude was relentless on me. And I mean, relentless. He would make up stuff to be pissed about and to call into question. And in the beginning, I'm like, dude, I'm not even getting paid to do this. And he said to me, he goes, look, it's going to be as hard as it can possibly be in here, because when you get my job, there is no safety net. There is now you're in the real world. That was easy compared to the things we were going through. And I'm grateful for it. I mean, grateful to today that was that hard, because then it wasn't, the real world was like, not a big deal. So, but he put a lot of time and energy into making my life hard and challenging. Hell, he'd put meetings on the calendar and not tell me if I needed to be there. I had to make the decision. Is this worth my time? Is it worth the drive? Is this a good use of leadership time or a bad use of leadership time? He wouldn't tell me. It'd just be on the calendar. Hey, here's a meeting in this area or, location. We're having a meeting. And sometimes I showed up and it was like, this was a piss waste of time, and I heard about it. And sometimes I didn't show up and then I heard about that. But I learned to make a decision on where my time was best used, because in that job, you only have so much and people are pouring stuff onto your calendar. He was teaching me how to figure out where the best use of my time and talent was. And it was hard. And it was hard, but super helpful.
I look at it as, I call it the whiplash effect, right? Have you seen the movie?
I have not. I'm writing it down. Okay.
So it's a phenomenon. The whole, the story is, Miles Teller is this drummer, and he's pushed from, his teacher in there, who's just insane of pushing him. But it is from that part. There's an amazing dynamic that I watch in this too, that the best comes from, there's that push, there's that drive, there's that little bit of insane part. But for that to be fully effective, either from that same person, or you've got to have it somewhere else in your life, that nurturing belief, human, hey, I got you aspect. And sometimes those rare leaders can be both, and back and forth. I had an amazing professor and back in film school who was both, who was just like, dear God, this freaking ass, and he was a father, without a doubt.
You got to wear both hats. My dad would call that wearing the black hat and wearing the white hat. Some days I come in with the black hat. Some days I come in with the white hat. And the more inconsistent it is, the better it is for you, because that will make you be consistently good. I don't care which one you're wearing. So and I owe him a ton, and he didn't have to do all that stuff. So, and then I tried to do it when I had that opportunity, and we promoted out our top 3 people. And by the way, do you know what happens when that happens? Now you start over with a new person. They're not even on the grading chart. And you got to win with them, because the people above you, they're like, that's part of the gig. I mean, you get what you ask for, but in the businesses we deal with, that there is a thicker dynamic of family. So it's harder to do that. It's kind of like if let's say you're dumb and you had 5 kids. Let's just say you made that choice in life.
Who would do that?
It wasn't I said yes, but anyhow, well, you can't, if you only spend time with one kid. So there's a little bit of that. So you got to spread the ball a little more. The more intimate the setting, you have to spread the ball a little bit. But at the same time, if you find yourself with a revolving door at the bottom, or someone that just doesn't want to be a part of what you're doing, that's probably more you than anything. So you got to win with who you have. And, this happens. Some people just have a job, by the way. Like, some people work for you. They just want to come to work. And they are necessary. They may fulfill a role, but they're not, your A team, so to speak. They're not the team that's going to get things done. And that also helps you in the fact that they may get left out. And people don't like being left out. Why does this group get to do all this stuff? Well, because they work their ass off and they've got a great attitude and they're in it to win it. What are you doing? So it's a lever to create some exclusivity within that. So I think we get this perception that there's unlimited talent out there and that if I don't have it all, I'm doomed. And that's just not true. 80-20 rule applies in all instances. You're probably going to have about 20% of your people, be phenomenal, and the others are going to be great and maybe look good. And then maybe one that's, if it was a bell-shaped curve, there's a curve in the middle and on this side, and then on this side, so that's where you don't spend your time on this side of the mountain. That's how I would describe that. Anything else you guys want from me today? I mean,
That's good. We got you fired up. Got you. We want the best of Joe comes from the rants. So this is good.
Awesome. Felt right. Going into the fourth, I'm fired up.
Fantastic. All right, Lions. There's your edge. You've just experienced the Lion's Edge. If this episode lit a fire, if you're ready to push past your current ceiling, there's more waiting for you. Want to see what it takes to become a member of the Lion? Visit jointhelion.com to discover how successful entrepreneurs become unstoppable forces. And make sure you never miss an episode by hitting subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. This isn't just content. This is your edge.
This show is powered by Media Leads. Tired of being overlooked in your industry? Learn how market gravity can transform you into the leader everyone's talking about by going to MediaLeadsCo.com.